This week on Cruisin', the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.
I had to take 2 buses to get out there, but I drove this back.
Or 2 bus rides in this case.
I've been looking for this car, this particular car, my whole life.
Aren't we lucky you found it? It's stunning.
And anybody that's had a Dodge knows why there's a Gremlin there.
Yes, sadly we do.
Oh, where can I buy a set? You can't. That's the only pair in the world.
And that's quite a unique pair. Plus,
if you work both ends, it'll contour to the arch in your quarter extension.
the Buckeye Guys Block and Sand Z-Chrome. Cruise in from Stars and Cars starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Cruise In. I'm Will Burge, and this week we're in Hudson, Ohio at the International Hotel Horror Film Festival and Convention. Inside, they're watching movies. Outside is the Stars and Cars Cruising Show. Let's see if there's any scary good rides out there. All right, Steve, what do you got here?
This is my 1962 Rambler Classic Custom. It's got 69,000 original miles. I've had it for 3 years. It's my 3rd Rambler, but I've had this for 3 years. I found it in Syracuse, New York. I had to take 2 buses to get out there, but I drove this back.
Now, was this something you were looking out for? Did you stumble across it? How did that happen?
Actually, I kind of stumbled across it. I wanted to get back into stick shift cars, and so I went back to my second choice, which is Ramblers, and I found this in Hemmings Motor News.
And I loved it. We were talking, you said you call it a Survivor.
That's right. You see a lot of Trader Queens at the cruise-ins and car shows. This is what I call a Survivor because it's all original. It's been driven every year since it was built, and I'm getting 21 miles to a gallon on it.
I love the lay-down seats too.
Right. That was a feature that Nash had from the 40s on, and this has the lay-down seats. What's nice about them is that they're also individually reclining about 3 different positions, or you could fold them both down, and it's a bed inside.
A throwback to years gone by, and I love the color, by the way. The colors, it feels like it's made
it's
for
not
that
a color you'll see these days, and I really like it because you don't have to wash it that much.
Now, it doesn't have fins.
No, this is the first year for the 1956 unibody that did not have fins.
And the fuzzy dice in the mirror, those are a perfect complement.
Right, everybody's got those these days. You can buy them at any Walmart or gas station, but these I got from my mother-in-law. She bought them for a boyfriend at high school in 1959. He didn't want them, and they sat in a dresser drawer until she gave them to me when I got this car.
That was a good purchase then.
Right, and the Magnetic Mary was on my dad's 52 Plymouth when I was 2 years old.
Wow, and how about the transistor radio? Anything behind that?
Well, it's got a radio in it that works kind of sometimes and kind of not, so I have this as a backup, and it is period correct, so.
And so this is, I mean, when you drive it around town, you got it almost looks like you're traveling back in time when you go past you.
That's right, and you can't believe all the conversations you get into just because people see you working the gear shift up and down. They think you're throwing it in park. Well, it's a 3 on the tree. It's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Hey, you don't see that very often now. You're not getting gear shifts up by the steering wheel.
No, most people don't even know how to drive them.
All right, Jake, this is a beauty you're sitting in front of. What do you got here?
We have a 1968 triple black Camaro convertible.
How long have you had this?
Had this car for 3 years.
Really? And this is, did you buy it like this? Did you change
I bought
it
it
up?
when I bought it, it was stock, and everything was pretty much numbers matching and all that, and I just modded it out just a little bit, just to kind of keep the original appearance, but give it a little more gleam.
It seems like that was important to you to keep it kind of original there.
Yeah, I see a lot of cars, they get a little too extreme on the modifications. I wanted to keep it so much toward the original look, but really accentuate and try to, improve the original look. As I get to a certain age, I started changing my taste on the car, and I always liked the black and chrome combination. I just thought that was just really, really sinister, really cool looking, and I wanted to go with that.
What kind of mods did you do to it?
Basically, I just chromed out the original pieces, like the engine pieces, things like that. I beefed up the suspension in it. The interior, I redid a lot of the interior that had anything weathered, like the seat belts or things like that. I changed those out, that type of stuff.
And this is, was this something you were looking for? Did you stumble across it?
Yeah, actually, I've been looking for this car, this particular car, my whole life since I got into cars. I wanted a 68 Camaro. Originally, I liked the 68 Firebirds, but I didn't like the front ends because I like these front ends better. These are hideaway headlights, so if you pull the button, these lights just open and close like that.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that was a really neat, mean, aggressive looking grille. So I wanted that, and then I wanted to go triple black for sure, and I wanted a 4-speed. This was actually upgraded to a 5-speed for the overdrive. And I wanted posi traction, we got that. I wanted power windows. Very hard to find with those different combinations is the power windows and power top, and I got that. So I was very happy to find this car.
That's a very specific dream car right there.
Yes.
You knew, was it a poster up in your room when you were a kid, or what? How did this come about?
Now, my brother-in-law got me into cars when we were younger, and we went through a few of them. We had a couple 68 Camaros in the past, hard tops. I always wanted a convertible.
How fast does this thing go?
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me how fast you've gotten it up to. You can tell me how fast it goes, you don't tell me how fast you've gotten it to.
You know, it goes pretty good. I don't really drive it for speed, but I'll peel the tires every now and then for a good stretch. It's got the posi traction, so you see 2 tracks, it could be mine.
Coming up.
Well, you're not running this 130, 140 on the freeway, are you?
No, no.
I won't tell anybody if you are, it's okay.
No.
Oops, sorry about that. Next on Cruise In. From project to pride and joy, the restoration specialists at Buckeye Classic Car Restoration can make your dreams come true. Our master body, paint, and mechanical technicians have over 100 years of experience. They do research, can communicate every detail of the restoration process, and their restorations win big-time awards. Buckeye Classic Car Restoration cars have been winning awards since 2001. Let the restoration specialists at Buckeye Classic Car Restoration turn your project into an award winner. Welcome back to Stars and Cars on Cruise In.
All right, Richard, well, this is extremely unique. What do you got here?
Well, it's a 29 Model A on a 32 Ford frame. I started collecting parts for it about 30 years ago. It's my rendition of after the Second World War salt flats car. They ran on the salt flats.
And 30 years ago, you had the vision for this and just started collecting parts.
I carried a picture of it when I was even a teenager, and I said, if I ever get in a position, I want a car like this. So that's what I did.
Now, how hard was it to find all the parts that you need? I mean, it took you a long time, obviously.
Yeah, it took a long time. Hit every flea market and swap meet from here to Hershey, Carlisle, and all that in Pennsylvania. And through the years, I got the parts that I needed.
What was the hardest thing to find?
Well, there's a number of things that, one of the things I'm looking at that air cleaner out there, that's the original, and that's pretty hard to find. And that was made back right after the Second World War.
So what drew you to it though? What originally, was it just a picture you saw and it caught your eye?
Yeah, I grew up being a hot rodder and had a number of cars through my years, but I sort of always had the love for this.
And the Gilmore Red Lion gasoline, is that your sponsorship?
That was a sponsor back then of, they sponsored, it's out of Los Angeles, California, an oil company, and they would have sponsored the car here on the salt flats.
And how fast did they race when they raced on the salt flats?
Well, they were all out speed, and I think this car like this probably held the record. Back then, it was probably 130, 140. By today's standards, it wasn't very high.
Well, you're not running this 130, 140 on the freeway, are you?
No, no.
I won't tell anybody if you are, it's okay.
No, I'm an old man and I drive it like an old man.
How fast would this go if you want to get up top speed?
I would suspect maybe in the 120.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the engine, do you leave the engine exposed normally all the time? Or?
Yes, well, if they would have ran it on the salt flats, they would have had a hood for aerodynamics.
Well, and why did you pick 65?
That's a long story there. 65 would have been my number because every year that I was building it, my friends would ask me, well, how soon? And my answer would be next year, next year, next year. Of course, next year would come and go, and I still wouldn't be running. So then finally they said, we'll never see that thing running. I said, yeah, next year for sure. And that's when I was going to turn 65. And I said, in fact, I'm so sure that that's going to be my number, 65. So that's how I picked it. But I didn't make it. I didn't make it until I was 71.
Only 6 years late. That's no big deal. You know, it was worth the wait, though.
Oh yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
having fun.
Now, I imagine when you drive this around, you get a whole lot of people stopping you asking you about it too, huh?
Yeah, we do. It's rewarding to know other people enjoy it.
All right, Scott, so what are you sitting in front of right here?
I'm sitting in front of my 1964 Dodge Custom 880 convertible.
And how long have you had this?
I bought this in 1979.
Really?
My first year of college. It was sitting in some guy's backyard. He was selling his house and wanted to get rid of the piece of crap that was sitting in the back. And I was more than happy to take it off his hands.
Now, first year of college, was that a collector car at that time? Or
it was, no, not really. It was a non-running car, and he just wanted to get rid of it. And I saw it, and I got a big smile on my face. I said, you know, I can make something of this.
Did you know it was that rare when you saw it?
Not a clue. This was my everyday driving car for about 6 years. And then when I got back to Cleveland, I started doing research. Every time I was looking up for parts, it would say accept custom 880. So I'm like, wow, why is, you know, everything said accept custom 880. So then I looked and I said, wow, it's actually kind of rare. It's actually kind of cool. It's actually kind of collectible. So I kind of kept it as a secondary car, and then in 1992, we took it all apart and put it all back together.
So this has got to be attached to your heart right now, right? I mean, if you've been driving it for that long, you got it first year of college.
Absolutely.
What's one of your favorite memories of this from college that you can share on television?
Well, from college, actually, you know, when I came back, I was still driving it, and we used to take it to drive-in movies when they still used to have drive-in movies. And I was in the back seat of the car, and there was a young lady jumped on me when I was in the back seat, and she broke my nose. And blood everywhere, and I don't know if that's a good memory, but it's something when I think of the car, I always think of the back seat of this car and getting my nose broke by some girl's forehead.
That's a whole different type of action in the back seat, right?
Totally, yeah. It wasn't what I originally planned, but it was still kind of fun, you know. Not looking back, you know, 30 years later.
And the blanket over the front seat, it's even got the vintage feel there as well.
That's correct, yes. Actually, it's something, my mother knitted that. And so, you know, it's bringing a little bit of her with the car. That's why I have it there.
Who was in the picture in the back seat as well?
That is my son. That's when that was the day we stripped everything and took it all apart, and that was its worst day.
Was there any worries when you took it all apart, we're never gonna get this thing back together?
Absolutely. When I saw buckets and boxes and bags full of parts, I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be tough. Here it is, you know, 25 years later, and it still looks great.
What was this the same color it originally was?
Yeah, this is original color. Interior is all original. The only thing that we've modified is it has a stainless steel exhaust, stainless steel gas lines, and stainless steel brake lines. Just so, you know, just for longevity, and so I don't have to replace them every couple of years. So.
I love you still have the original radio in there too. A lot of people change that up. I know you're riding with it.
It's an AM/FM, which was really rare back then. Also has reverb, not stereo, but has a speaker in the front and a speaker in the back, which is really kind of fun.
Wow, that's so different.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what is your favorite part of this car? What was the original thing, besides the fact that it was probably cheap for you to buy when you were in college? What's your favorite part about this? What drew you to it?
Push-button transmissions. One of the few cars, you know, you had the Edsels and a couple other cars that had push-button transmissions. And having the push-button transmissions, that's something that really sets it apart. And the fact is that it's a custom 880, and no one knows what it is. They look at it and go, oh, that's a nice Polara. It's custom 880. Says, oh, no, it's a Polara, right? And I'm like, no, you know, I argue with people about what kind of car it is because they've never heard of it. It's kind of fun.
Why is the Gremlin and the Tasmanian Devils, where do they all come from?
Well, the Tasmanian Devils, just because I'm a big Tasmanian Devil fan, and anybody that's had a Dodge knows why there's a Gremlin there. There's always gremlins crawling around Dodges, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a absolutely gorgeous car. We appreciate you showing it to us. I gotta imagine, every time you go to one of these shows though, you get into the arguments with people, and then other people are like, I don't see these very often.
That's correct. I've been to Dodge, the Mopar Nationals down in Columbus, and I was the only one there. And in, you know, all the years I've owned it, I've only seen one other one. So that's pretty good.
Next up,
You could probably spend a good 3 days just block sanding properly.
the Buckeye guys show you the right way to block sand. Next.
Welcome to this week's edition of Cruising with the Buckeye Guys. Once again, we're in front of a 1964 and a half Mustang here that's been in Z-Chrome. The Z-Chrome is a primer, which we've demonstrated in the past. Currently, the whole car is sitting in the Z-Chrome, and we're going to demonstrate how to block sand the quarter panels correctly. Bruce here is going to do that again, and Bruce is going to tell you a little bit of what he's going to do.
As you can see, some of the coloring here, some of it's lighter. This has a built-in guide coat. As you sand, it will lighten up. The darker areas will show you your low areas. We do little areas like this, which we call panel matching. We try and bring it in where all the panels are matched correctly. Everything is in line. Just the 80 grit alone. To do an entire car, you could probably spend a good 3 days just block sanding properly. The more time you spend on it, the better the job. On an area that you have a little bit of an arch, I'll use the narrow. This will also flex a little bit. If you work both ends, it'll contour to the arch in your quarter extension. Now there are times you will go through, depending on how much primer you have. We have 4 coats of Z-Chrome on this. What I will do on this car, I will block sand the entire car with 80 grit. After I am done with the 80 grit, I will blow the car off, guide coat it, and I will go down to a 120 grit. The 120 will take out the 80 grit scratches. After the 120 grit, we will go to 180 grit, guide coat, 180 grit. The 180 takes the 120 scratches out. I'm going to go back to my longboard. I usually start with my matched areas to make sure that I'm where I need to be. I would say a panel like your quarter panel here, going into a panel match to the door, you can probably spend 3 to 4 hours on. All the darker areas are your low spots. Now, the sanding roll, I usually use on a flare in the rolled areas, down in here, here, here. A lot of guys will use a flat block. I'm a little more comfortable with a sanding roll. It's always good to rotate it a little bit. And the same thing, you want to cross sand. Cross sand, very important. I like to bounce back and forth on each panel. The reason for it, I don't like to stay in one area too long. I could end up dishing out an area or flattening out an area. Your hand boards and blocks, they're semi-rigid. They will contour. If, say you go away for the weekend, you leave your block like this, heat and humidity, it'll let it arch. It'll take the straightness out of your board. Always keep your blocks on a flat surface when you're going to be gone for a period of time. While you're working on a car, something like this is okay. This too, it'll arch. Try and keep it on a flat area. Your blocks can save you. Your blocks can get you in trouble too. You just have to take care of them.
Thank you for watching this week's edition of Cruising with the Buckeye, guys. As you can see, the product Z-Chrome we use every day in the shop. We're a full-service shop. We win many awards here with our custom paint work. You can give us a call to meet your needs at 330-533-4757.
Don't go anywhere. There's plenty more to come from the Stars and Cars Cruisin' in Hudson, Ohio. Cruisin' will be right back.
Now back to the Stars and Cars Car Show on Cruise In.
Why purple? It's my wife's favorite color. It's her car. You spray paint a stick purple, she'll buy it. And this is actually the Plymouth Prowler purple. when Chrysler came out and introduced the Plymouth Prowler. And she just absolutely loved this color. The car happened to be painted this color when we went to look at it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So how much work have you done? I mean, was it completely done? Or?
When we got the car, the guy had just finished the body work on it. He had also put new seat covers on it, and I believe a new carpet. He gave me the headliner to put into it yet, and he had also pulled the 6-cylinder engine out and put in what he thought was a 302, and some custom parts that I machined myself.
Yeah, I saw some of those. The first one that I noticed was the speaker covers. Those are pretty cool. Where can I buy a set?
You can't. That's the only pair in the world. I designed those in CAD and showed those to my wife, and she liked them. So I went ahead and CNC machined them. And like I said, that's the only pair that's in existence.
And what else do you have custom? I noticed around the engine you had some stuff in there too, correct?
Yes, the valve covers are aluminum die cast, and I machined 331 stroker into them. And the spark plug wire looms are also my own design. They have a herd of stampeding Mustangs on them.
And you draw those freehand? How does that process
That's
start?
all done in CAD.
Really?
Yes.
But it's absolutely gorgeous. And the inside, the engine pops. I mean, it really sets off from that backdrop. How that color behind it?
The finish in the engine compartment is called Zolatone, and it comes in a single can, and spraying close or spraying far determines the size of the spattern pattern. It's all done in one application.
Wow, it's beautiful. And it really makes the engine pop in there too.
Yes, it does. Real nice contrast in color.
And how long did it take you to put this all together?
We got the car in 2003. Over all those years, it was probably about 7 years altogether to get all that work done.
Oh, it's a beautiful car. I appreciate you showing it to us, and it's absolutely gorgeous in the sunshine. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, if you didn't make it out here to the Stars and Cars Cruising, you missed this custom Willys, and apparently this guy. We had a great time. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everybody out here at the Horror Hotel International Film Festival, and of course everybody who came out to the Stars and Cars Cruising show. I'm Will Burge, saying so long until next time.